One of my first addictions that I only saw later, because I was a person who, by worldly standards, you'd say was successful. I had a Jaguar, that's a really nice car. I had a house, I had a millionaire wife. I could go on trips. I made over $100,000, $200,000 a year. Like, I looked successful. I had custom clothing. I looked like this guy that was, and I would have to succeed at everything. In school, I was an A student. Sometimes I get a B. As a kid, you'd see trophies. I'd win at everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, but what was driving me to be that winner, so to speak, was an addiction. It was an addiction to having to win. I had to be better than other people because deep down inside, I felt like I was a loser. And like Mike was talking about, stuff happens in our life, and it's not what happens to our life that necessarily determines who we're going to be, but it's our interpretation or what we think this event means. And that's my viewpoint anyway. I'm not saying it's the truth. I'm saying this is how I look at things now, and it might fit for you or it might not. But where it started with me was, like Mike grew up in the projects. He still lives in the projects. I grew up in the projects in a place called Jane and Finch. And I was a happy kid. There was no problem that we were poor. Some people say, oh, is that why you became a crack addict, because you grew up in the projects? No, I loved the projects. There's not a problem not having money when the rest of you also don't have money. You don't notice something missing. Does everybody that grows up in poverty turn into drug addicts? No, right? So I had a happy childhood. But what happened was, at some point, I don't know what age it was, I became aware that there was something different with me. As Mike said, that there was something wrong with me. Was there anything wrong with Mike, by the way, ever? In his story? No. He interpreted that there was something wrong with him. Maybe society was sending a message to him that there was something wrong with him when there wasn't. If anything, I believe that's the root cause of why we turn to these escapes or addictions or destructive habits to try to escape the pain that's created by our belief that there's something wrong with us. If there's anything wrong with me, it's that I believed that there was something wrong with me, if that makes sense. But one time, I remember some kid, we were doing I don't know, maybe it was kindergarten, I don't know, but have you ever had that when you come back from the holidays? Do you guys ever remember when the teacher says, hey, let's hear what you did during the summer holidays, and you just tell briefly what you did during the summer holidays? Can you just raise your hand if you've had that experience? Well, this was one of those, I mean, they seem like innocent little events that happened, but if we look back, we can see these certain events that happened to us in the past had a huge impact on who we became, but it's because of what we interpreted, and we didn't realize that. So these other kids go up, and they start talking about, I remember two of them. Two kids said, yeah, I went and I did this, I played baseball with my father, and my father's a fireman. And right away I'm going, father? I don't have a father. How come he's got a father? I don't have a father. So that's what I remember. And then another kid starts talking, and he says some things that he did with his father, and he says, my father owns Nino Diversa Bakeries. Like, man, I remembered this 40 years ago or whatever. And in that moment, when I heard other people tell their stories, I said to myself, there must be something wrong with me, because my father doesn't live with me. And then I said to myself, I must be a loser. There must be something wrong with me. Like, they got fathers, I don't got fathers. Why doesn't my father want to be with me? Maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Why wouldn't he want to be with me? How many of you can relate to that? Like, your mind may be doing something like that. And that was the first time I remember that life wasn't happy anymore. It wasn't normal. There was like, and I made up that meaning. Was there anything wrong with me, guys, because I didn't have a father? But as a kid, I think there must be. And that was the moment when I decided I was going to try to fix this problem of me being a loser, me being broken, something wrong with me, by having to be perfect. I have to beat everyone at everything. I'll cheat. I remember playing golf. I played golf with my grandmother. She had a membership where she could let me come for the summer holidays. How many holes of golf do you play in a game of golf, guys? 18. Look at my eyes. Because we all know when people are lying or exaggerating, and I do my best to under-promise and say less than more. I would play 72 holes of golf just about every day while I was there. 72 holes of golf. I'm on in the dark with a flashlight, I'm off with a flashlight. Why? Because the first time I played, my grandma beat me. And I thought I must be a loser. And so I have to win at all costs, including cheating. Grandma would say, you don't have to count that one. I'd say, okay, great. And then there would be other shots that I just wouldn't count so that I would beat my grandmother every time, or as much as possible. And that's the kind of guy I was. I just had to win. So of course I had to bully people. I had to put people down because I have to be stronger than them. I have to prove. So I'm this guy that's a super success. I'm breaking records. I'm making tons of money. I'm doing things in business and industry that haven't been done before. I'm revolutionizing this and doing that. Like incredible things. But when I'm alone with myself, how do I feel? When I'm alone with myself, do I like myself? Doesn't matter what I accomplish or what I do or how much better I think I am than other people. It doesn't matter. I feel terrible. So that's why I always got to be busy. I always got to be busy. I was also addicted to the television. In other words, I can't just sit still. I got to be doing something. Does that make sense, being addicted to the television, where you just got to look at the TV? I haven't had a TV for almost 10 years now, because as soon as I start watching it, I'd rather watch TV than actually be responsible for doing the hard things that I have to do to have a great life. I'd rather just sit there and watch the TV than jogging.